G'day everyone. Welcome to Hello English Podcast. I'm Brian and this is my best mate Jean. We're broadcasting to you from sunny Brisbane, Australia, and we are absolutely stoked to have you here today.
Hey there! So good to meet you all. Now, Brian just said good day. That's how we Aussies say hello. And stoked, that means we're really excited, really happy.
Exactly. And mate, that's friend. Jean's my mate, my best friend. Now, if you're learning English, you might be thinking, why are these two Aussies talking so differently from my textbook?
Right, that's exactly what we want to talk about today. This podcast is all about real English, the English people actually use when they're chatting with friends, at work, or just hanging out.
We're here every week to help you bridge that gap between textbook English and the real deal. How are you going so far? Are you following along okay?
Ooh, and how you going, that's another way we say, how are you in Australia. Much more casual, much more friendly. All right, Brian, tell them why we started this whole thing.
Yeah, good question. So Jean and I, we've both taught English before, and we kept hearing the same thing from our students. They'd say, I study English for years, but when I watch movies or talk to native speakers, I feel lost.
Oh, totally. It's so frustrating for learners. They know all the grammar rules, they can write perfect sentences, but then they hear someone say, what's up, instead of how are you, and they're confused.
Exactly. And that's because there's textbook English and then there's real life English. Textbook English is important, don't get me wrong, but real life English is what you need for actual conversations.
Exactly. And here's the thing. One of the best ways to learn real English is just listening. Not studying grammar, not memorizing vocabulary lists, just listening to how people actually talk.
Yes, the power of listening. When you listen to natural conversations, your brain starts picking up the rhythm of English, the slang, the way we stress certain words.
The rhythm, yeah, that's such a good point. English has this musicality to it, and you can't really learn that from a book. You need to hear it.
Right, so that's why we chat like this. No scripts, no formal language, just two mates having a yarn. Having a yarn means having a conversation, by the way.
Perfect. So you're getting real English, but we'll always explain the slang and expressions as we go. No worries about getting lost. No worries, that's our Australian way of saying don't worry or it's okay.
All right, so today we want to dive into something super practical, introductions. Now, how many of you learn to introduce yourself by saying something like, my name is John, I am 25 years old, I live in Tokyo?
Oh my gosh, yes, that textbook style. It's not wrong, but it sounds so robotic. Like no one actually talks like that in real life.
Exactly, Jean. It's too formal for most situations. So let's break this down. Instead of my name is Brian, I'd say, hey, I'm Brian, or Brian here, or even just, I'm Brian, nice to meet you.
Yes, so much more natural. And instead of I am 30 years old, which sounds like you're reading from an ID card, you might say I'm 30 or I'm in my 30s. Or you might not mention age at all unless someone asks.
Great point. Age isn't always part of introductions. It really depends on the situation. If you're at university, maybe. If you're at a work conference, probably not.
Right, context matters so much. Now, let's talk about greetings. The textbook teaches, how are you? But in reality, we've got so many options. How's it going? How you doing? What's up?
Oh yeah, and here's the thing. How's it going is way more common than how are you in casual situations. How are you can sometimes feel a bit formal or serious, like you're genuinely asking about someone's well-being.
Totally. Like, if I haven't seen you for ages and I say, how are you? I'm probably expecting a real answer. But if I say, how's it going? It's more like a friendly greeting.
Exactly, and the responses are different too. For how's it going, you might say, good, thanks, not bad, pretty good, or even just good, how about you?
Yeah, and notice we keep it short and positive usually. You don't launch into your life story unless someone really wants to know. It's more about being friendly than sharing deep information.
So true. Okay, let's put this all together. A natural introduction might sound like, hey, I'm Brian. How's it going? Nice to meet you. Simple, friendly, natural.
Perfect. And you know what? You can practice this right now. Try introducing yourself out loud using this more natural style. Don't worry about being perfect, just practice the flow.
Great idea. And remember, the goal isn't to sound Australian or American or British, it's to sound natural and comfortable. Your accent is part of who you are.
Absolutely. Confidence is way more important than a perfect accent. Native speakers have different accents too. Think about how differently Brian and I sound compared to someone from London or New York.
Too right. All right, everyone, we're running out of time today, but this has been fantastic. I hope you've picked up some useful tips about natural introductions and casual English.
It really has. And hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to Hello English Podcast. We release new episodes every week, and we cover everything from slang to pronunciation to cultural differences.
Next week, we're talking about small talk. You know, those little conversations you have while waiting for the elevator or standing in line at the coffee shop. Should be really practical.
Oh, that'll be good. All right, everyone, until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, English is all around you, so use every opportunity to learn.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on Hello English Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Jean. Catch you next week. And remember, no worries, you've got this.
Actually, before we wrap up, I think we should give our listeners a few more examples. What about when you're introducing yourself in different situations, like introducing yourself at a party versus introducing yourself at work?
Oh, brilliant idea. Yeah, context changes everything. At a party, you might say something like, "Hey, I'm Jean. How do you know Sarah?" Assuming Sarah's the host. It's more casual, more personal.
Exactly, you're connecting through a mutual friend. But at work, maybe meeting a new colleague, you might say, "Hi there, I'm Brian from the marketing team. I don't think we've met before." A bit more formal, but still friendly.
Perfect example. And you know what I love about that? You're giving them a bit of context from the marketing team so they know where you fit in the company. It makes the conversation easier for both of you.
Right, and here's another thing. Sometimes you don't even need to use your name first. You might start with a question or comment, like if you're at a coffee shop and someone's reading a book you've read, you might say, "Oh, how are you finding that book? I read it last month."
Oh, I love that. Starting with common ground. Then, if the conversation goes well, you naturally introduce yourself. By the way, I'm Jean. It feels so much more organic than just walking up and stating your name like you're in a police lineup.
Like a police lineup. That's exactly what it feels like sometimes with textbook introductions. All right, let's talk about something else that trips up English learners: responding to compliments. In many cultures, you're supposed to be modest, but English speakers often just say thanks.
Oh my goodness, yes, this is huge. If someone says, "I love your shirt," many English learners will say something like, "Oh no, it's very old," or "It was cheap," but we usually just say, "Thanks," or "Thank you, I really like it too." We accept the compliment.
Exactly, and you can even add a bit more detail. "Thanks, I got it from that little boutique on Queen Street." Or "Thanks, my sister gave it to me for my birthday." It keeps the conversation flowing instead of shutting it down with self-deprecation.
Yes, you're giving them something to respond to. And here's another cultural thing. We often compliment strangers in casual situations. Like if someone has a cute dog, you might say, "Oh, what a gorgeous pup. What's his name?"
That's such a good point. Dog compliments are like universal icebreakers. And pup, that's just a cute informal way to say dog or puppy. You'll hear that a lot in casual conversation. It's much friendlier than just saying dog.
And people love talking about their pets. It's such an easy way to start a conversation. You know what else is interesting? The way we use sorry in English. We say it for so many things that aren't really apologies.
Oh yeah, like when you need to get past someone, you say sorry instead of excuse me. Or when you didn't hear something clearly, you might say sorry with a rising intonation. It's not really an apology, it's more like a polite way to get attention or ask for clarification.
Exactly. And Australians and Brits especially do this. Americans might use "excuse me" more often, but "sorry" is everywhere in casual English. It's like a social lubricant. It keeps interactions smooth and polite.
Social lubricant. I love that description. And speaking of keeping things smooth, let's talk about fillers. You know, those little words we use while we're thinking. Like, textbooks usually tell you to avoid them, but native speakers use them all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I probably said like 5 times already in this episode. They're natural. They give you time to think and they show you're having a real conversation, not reciting a script. The key is not to overuse them, but don't stress if they slip in.
Right. And different regions use different fillers too. Australians might say or ah, Americans often use like and you know, and Brits might throw in sort of or kind of. It's all part of natural speech patterns.
And here's something really important for our listeners. You don't need to sound exactly like us or like any particular native speaker. The goal is to communicate clearly and confidently. Your unique voice and perspective are actually strengths, not weaknesses.